What's going on, YouTube? This is Julien Stoutt, licensed personal trainer, licensed PE teacher, world record powerlifter, here to help you be the best you. Today's topic is obesity versus BMI. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because you saw a short video that I posted earlier about being careful about who you call obese. Now, over the years, I have commented on numerous of celebrities that have been deemed obese or been made fun of based on their body types, and I've went in on them. And at the same time, I've attacked body positivity. I am not exclusive to one side of the argument or another. I want balance. So because I want balance, one of the reasons why I'm bringing this up is because we need to truly begin to have the correct conversation about obesity versus BMI. Now, as you know, BMI is simply your height divided by your weight, and once you have that number, it is supposed to be a macro view of society as a whole, not based on an individual. And far too many times you guys find yourselves using this BMI calculation as the end all be all to whether or not somebody is in quote unquote perfection, in overweight status, or quote unquote obese status. And one of the biggest mistakes made is that when your BMI is over 30, you are considered obese. Well, what we don't account for is simply the muscle mass. Now, one of the things that I wanted to bring up was, have you ever met a person who is visually attractive, male or female, doesn't matter. They're visually attractive, but they tend to be larger than other people. But then at the same time, they do not appear to be obese. Excuse me. But think about that for a minute. I want you to visualize that person. Now, there's been a time where there's people that I've known over time who I felt were visually attractive people in the size that they were in, and they went about losing weight in an unhealthy manner. When I say unhealthy, I'm not referring to yo-yo dieting or improper diet. Well, it was improper dieting, but it was based on what they believed to be right, as opposed to eating disorders and things of that nature. That's what I mean by losing weight in an unhealthy manner. But and when they finally lost the weight, they look like a cancer patient. How many of you have seen that person? And you're like, whoa, what happened to you? First person that comes to mind from a famous standpoint is Star Jones. All right. Normally I'm trying not to I use celebrities because everybody knows them. You know, you don't know the people that I know, and I don't know the people that you know, but you and I both know who Star Jones is, and we know the journey that she went through, where at one point in time she was claiming that she lost all this weight naturally, and we could all tell that her muscle mass diminished greatly along with the body fat. And this in of itself is why I'm bringing this thing up. So I've had friends of mine who have lost a ton of weight only to lose the weight unhealthily in the classic sense, not the, eating disorder sense, but in the classic sense where they just simply try to get down to a specific number as opposed to getting their body composition correct, right? So the thing that I'm bringing up is you guys need to understand what real obesity truly is. Real obesity is when a female's body fat percentage is above 35% and males who are above 25%. All right. That is classic obesity. That is the true definition of obesity. I have relatives who are small in stature, in the sense of not only height but also weight, and they themselves believed that because they are in a lighter weight, because they have eliminated certain foods out of their diet, and because they have cleaned up their diet, that they were in the clear in regards to avoiding chronic diseases such as diabetes, high blood pressure, and things of that nature. Well, unfortunately for them, they didn't know that they were clinically obese at weights lower than 150 pounds. So I want you guys to understand that you can be obese below 150 pounds. Now, obviously, the smaller you are, the highly unlikely it is that you're going to be clinically obese. But the truth is, there is a fine line to where that will occur. And truthfully, because of your body type, 27 different body types, I'm going to keep running this roughshod over your head until you realize it. But 27 different body types. And because there's 27 different body types, you have to figure out which body type you are. And as a result of figuring out that body type that you are, then you can turn around and make assertions of whether or not you're obese. Once you know your body composition and your body type, that is the true place where you can now lineate yourselves with deciding you're obese. Just because you're 180 pounds doesn't mean you're fat. Somebody has to carry the genetic work of the other two parents. So you are made up of 23 chromosomes between two people. So therefore there's 46 chromosomes within you that came from two different people. If everybody had the same chromosomes, for God's sakes, y'all will be brothers and sisters, or you'll be first cousins. And guess what happens? You will then create a situation where a whole host of birth defects come in and come into play. And you can't, for the sake of diversity, you can't do that. So, or you shouldn't do that. Let me put it that way. So, because of that, you have to realize that you're going to get genetics from your dad who might be 5'5". And you might get genetics from your mom who's 6 feet tall. And your dad might be stocky and your mom might be as thin as a rail. And you might get the best of both worlds either way. All right. So when I say either way is because who says you don't want to be stocky? Who says you got to be skinny? Like thin as a rail? Who says you have to be tall? Who says you have to be short? Because of this notion that we keep putting ourselves in, that this preference and who you prefer based on evolutionary standards and all this other stuff, don't get me wrong. We know the science is there. So I'm not arguing that science. But what I'm saying is that why is it? You could be short. So like take me for instance. I'm 5 feet 4 inches tall. I'm short. All right. I weigh 150 pounds. But I am freakishly strong. Why? Because I carry the genes in me of people who have toiled the earth and have been strong their whole lives. And then I have the genetic factors of that in me. And then I took it one step further and I exercise regularly and intensely. Ladies and gentlemen, I am a world record powerlifter. I am in competition. I weigh 148 pounds and I am in the 1,000 pound club. How do you think I did that? Yes, hard work was a part of it, but in truth, the other half of the equation is what my genetics gave me. My genetics gave me high density muscle fibers. It's just that simple. And now I'm expanding upon it by getting bigger, stronger, faster. Even in my advanced age of 45 years old. The thing is, you have to understand that when you get these genetics, somebody has to carry those genes forward. Somebody's going to have to carry Brock Lesnar's genes forward. And if Brock Lesnar doesn't have any sons, they may not be the ones to carry the gene. Even then, even if he has a bunch of sons, it might be his daughter that carries his massive muscular structure over to the next generation. His sons might get his wife's genetics. She's a mesomorphic female, but she's not, out of shape, but she's not a large woman. She's not exactly tiny either, but she's not a large woman. So somebody has to be large. Shaquille O'Neal's mom, Lucille O'Neal, God bless her, she is 6 feet 2 inches tall as a woman. The average female is 5 feet 4 inches tall, which means she is obscenely tall compared to the average woman. She standing next to you as an average woman is like Shaq standing next to the average man at 5'10". All right. So she has basically an entire foot over you, where Shaquille O'Neal has a foot and a few inches, right? Over the average man. It is comparable. Somebody had to pass those genes on to Shaq. Shaq wasn't going to get those genes by accident. By chance, but not by accident. So the thing is that when we are making these assertions as to what we're supposed to look like, guess what? You are making an ill-fated statement and ill-fated comments. You don't know what that body is supposed to look like. So as a result, I want you guys to start understanding the difference between thick versus obese versus lean versus skinny. Skinny is simple. Low muscle mass, low body fat. That's skinny. But also, you could be skinny fat. Low muscle mass, high body fat percentage. It may not weigh a lot, but in relation to the Earth's gravitational forces on you, the body fat you're carrying is quite high. So yes, you could be obese even though you're skinny. Especially internal, your visceral fat being what it is. You could be mesomorphic, like I am. I am a short mesomorph. That is what I am. That is my classification within the 27 different body types. That's where I stand. I am a short mesomorph. So in that process, I get to enjoy the best of both worlds. I get big faster than some, but I also can lose weight just as quickly. All right. Then you have, so I have a mesomorphic body. So there you have in of itself the ability to put on weight and lose weight, both body composition wise and literal, at a moment's notice. I wouldn't say minimal effort. There is effort involved in it, but it's not as intense as it would be if I were to be an endomorph. As I get larger, my muscle mass gets larger. Therefore, the percentage of body fat, I get to carry the same amount. And obviously, if the percentage stays the same, but the weight goes up, obviously the amount of fat pounds goes up as well. So for instance, again, take me example, I'm 150 pounds. I am currently around 17% body fat right now, right? That roughly comes out to be over 15 pounds, closer to 20, closer to 25, 26 pounds. Well, I'm about to say about 24, 25 pounds, right? And so that's 24, 25 pounds of body fat on me, right? So now exponentialize my weight and I am now 200 pounds, right? Same 17%, but I weigh 200 pounds now. So that means I'm carrying 20, right? 20, just over 37 to, so just over 34 pounds of body fat. So I'm carrying just over 34 pounds of body fat at 200 pounds. Am I fat? I guarantee if I took my shirt off right now, you would be quite surprised at my 17%. My abs are still showing. All right. The thing is, that weight is there. I am now 200 pounds, but I'm still the same body fat percentage because my muscle mass increased as well. This happens to both males and females, especially when women have went through their second puberty, which is also known as pregnancy, because you cannot support. Some women tend to keep themselves in range of certain body types, but when those hormones influx, it influences not only, you know, the success of your pregnancy, but it also influences your size, because you might not be at the size that is capable of carrying a child when you initially got pregnant. So now your body realizes, wait a minute, we need more. Those hormones start flooding in, and then all of a sudden it causes you to eat voraciously. Not because you're greedy, not because you're ravenous, but because you need it to support the growth of your child. Then all of a sudden, now you probably won't gain another pound of weight outside of the baby if you are eating properly within that. But initially, at some point, one of your pregnancies might influence it, whether it's your first or your last or your middle. It's going to influence you to gain more weight. When you gain that weight, it is not going to be all body fat. It is going to be muscle in some cases, especially if you are active without harming yourself or the child. So as a result, what we have here is a larger woman. So initially when she was in high school, she was 110 pounds, soaking wet with rocks in her pocket. She's maybe about 5'2", and fast forward to her pregnancy, she now shoots up to 145 pounds. In her increase in weight, her muscle mass increased as well, right? She's now 145 pounds. She's stronger. She's more capable. And now society's telling her, because she's 5'2", 145 pounds, she's fat, when you haven't tested her body fat percentage. Now, like I said, from a macro view, if we're looking at the entire population as a whole, yes, there's quite a few of us that are obese. I'm going to argue that most of these numbers that claims us to be obese and overweight are skewed. These numbers are not accurate because they are judging you based on BMI, not based on body composition. We need to start measuring body composition as a part of your medical profile. It just needs to be, because I guarantee you, if you start to do that, the numbers will change. I don't know by how much. Even a 5% swing is enough to make a huge change in the judgments that we all claim to each other based on our size. All right? I want people to stop doing this. I want people to stop doing this with every fiber of my being. I will go anywhere, anytime, any place to argue these points, because it is time that we change the narrative about who we are as a society. Yes, do we have some weight to lose? 100% we do. 14 to 18%, maybe as high as 25% of the United States population currently exercises 5 days a week. All right? That's too low, in all honesty. Everybody needs to exercise. Everybody is an athlete in some way, shape, or form. Just because you are not LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Bo Jackson, Barry Sanders, Jerry Rice, Just because you're not any of these Serena Williams, just because you're not Ronda Rousey, Misha Tate, you know, gosh, just because you're not any of those people, you don't have to absolve yourself from physicality. It's hard work. And no, your job is not enough. Just because you're tired doesn't mean you get to just sit back, crack a few brewskis, and just lay up. No. Your lives and your family's lives depends on being physical. Ladies and gentlemen, my grandmother is 97 years old. And the reason why she got there, I can tell you. Number one, she's a naturally large woman. She stood at 5'11" in her prime. And she was solid at 5'11". The woman worked the fields like you never seen in your life. And she did it for quite some time. And when I say quite some time, I'm talking about well into her 60s, into her 70s, still doing the thing. And as a result, she has now gotten to the ripe age of 97 years old. That is the example on how we get there. Yes, you have those people that drink and smoke, and they still see 105. However, if you really want true positive longevity, maintaining and increasing your muscle mass over time is the way to do it naturally, by the way. So, you can be, I will say you're obese if I have definitive fact and proof. Now, yes, you can see some people as obese because there's an excess of body fat that you can see clearly on them. But just because a person weighs more than you as a guy or as a girl doesn't mean they're obese. Just because you are not attracted to somebody that happens to be larger than you doesn't mean they're obese. What it means is they're larger than you. Period. If they're obese and we have definitive proof, by all means, we need to investigate from a personal standpoint. I'm not talking about we as a society needs to investigate one individual. I'm talking about we as an individual into our own personal journeys. We need to be able to investigate, why are we this way? Is it laziness? Is it bad dieting? Is it hormonal? Is it environmental influences? If it's any of those four things, we can fix that if you're willing. And at that point, then and only then will we get it fixed and we will get it right. But as a society, we don't have the right to sit here and call people things that we are not professionally trained to do. I don't even do it, and I'm professionally trained to do it. You could go ask around, how many people have I personally eyeballed and guessed their body fat percentage within 4%. I do it all the time. I can look at somebody and tell them where their body fat percentage tends to be based just simply by looking at them. I'm usually not far off. I think the most I've ever been off by is 6 or 7%. Just eyeball. All right? And I promise you, anybody that's watching this video that has seen me do it live and up front, please comment in the descriptions below, because people seem to think that I'm just talking out the side of my neck when I say some of this stuff. So, between BMI and obesity, BMI people stop using BMI as the standard. It's not. It's not the standard because there is a whole host of genetic combinations that can appear and present itself. So as a result, I want us to be better about the language we use when we talk about the state of our society when it comes to health and fitness. All right. Doctors included. Because even doctors fall victim to you need to lose weight. Doctors fall victim to your BMI is high. You're overweight according to BMI. Okay. I'm overweight according to BMI. Like I said, 5 feet 4 inches tall, 150 pounds. Go ahead, do the BMI calculation. It will tell you I'm overweight. I'm usually on around roughly about a 26.5 on the BMI scale, which is overweight. All right. According to BMI, I'm supposed to weigh 130 pounds. I was 130 pounds once. Shredded too. Shredded. You couldn't touch me. You'll bleed. But at the same time, I got stronger and I got bigger and I got larger muscles. And as a result, my BMI went up. I'm okay with it. As long as I'm capable of performing and as long as my body fat percentage does not reach levels beyond 20%, I'm going to be okay. So, if you agree with everything that I said so far, or if you have questions, comments, or concerns about anything that I've said so far, feel free to like, subscribe, share, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. Have a nice day, guys, and be the best you.